magic wand! Make my monster growl!
Hi everyone, and welcome to Priority Holder, and today I'll be playing mono green +1/+1 counters in the Explorer format. Now a card that I just cannot quit is Hardened Scales. Single green mana enchantment that whenever a +1/+1 counter be placed on a creature we control, it gets a bonus one. And note that this stacks, so if we have multiple of these, they just keep picking up bonuses. And somewhat recently we picked up some redundancy in Ozolith the Shattered Spire, 2 mana with the Hardened Scales effect on it. It can also pay 2 and tap it to place a counter and has a cycling ability. So it's nice to have redundancy. The downside is that this is 2 mana and it's also legendary, so we're not playing as many copies of it. And the coolest creature we have to go along with like this package is Quirion Beastcaller. It's a 2 mana 2/2 that whenever we cast a creature spell, we put a counter on it. And whenever it dies, we can redistribute its counters. And note that the more creatures we distribute them onto, the more bonuses we get from Hardened Scales and Ozolith. So that's really nice. Sort of similar to it is Gala Greeters. One of its options is to get 1/1 counters. Interesting card is Barkhide Troll. This one gets a counter off the bat, and we can activate conditional hexproof sometimes on it. Another one with the known pedigree is Scavenging Ooze. This can help us police the graveyard a bit and pick up counters over time. Just a really strong card. And in the 1-drop slot, we have Swarm Shambler, which can give us insects. Basically gives us some resiliency against removal and can pick up counters over time. Pelt Collector wears counters really well and can pick up trample, help us punch through chump blockers. We have a snow mana base to support Blizzard Brawl, one of the strongest fight spells I think. And last card I want to mention is Ranger class. It's an enchantment that makes a 2/2 wolf. Level 2 lets us put 1/1 counters on attacking creatures, which is very powerful. And if we're flooding out, level 3 can help us get some card advantage. Since we're very creature dense, we can cast them off the top of the deck. So, but yeah, this is a very fun deck, very single-minded, trying to get counters, beat people down. Let's jump into some games. So this hand is a little bit sketchy. Honestly, is already making me rethink Pelt Collector. But this mulligan looks a lot better. So we shipped the last one back because we had so many Pelt Collectors and no ways to trigger them. Alright, Mausoleum Wanderer. We're obviously facing spirits, so we do have a turn 1 Hardened Scales. Let's see what they have. Supreme Phantom. Very brand conscious and smacking us for 3. Okay. Trying to figure out. I mean, they're going to be shelling out damage on us, so we need to try and match that. So go ahead and play a 4/4 Barkhide Troll. Spectral Sailor just to get the pump on Mausoleum Wanderer. They send in 2 mana open. There could be any number of things like a counter spell or another, like a Rattle Chains. I'm gonna attempt to take down the Supreme Phantom. Feeling pretty good with like on-demand hexproof, but it turns out it was a counter spell. However, we still have a good play. We play Ranger class and we could smash in for 4, but you can see we're already at 13 life, so it's looking grim for us. Opponent thinks about it, smashes in, so we fall to 8. And they pass, 4 mana open. Decide to go ahead and level up Ranger class. And, I mean, as it stands, we win this race. You know, we don't know what else they have, but if we put 2 counters on that, that's 8 damage coming at them. And they end up taking it, so that's step 1. And we do have a Faceless Haven down there, so opponent must not have a really good hand because they're activating Spectral Sailor instead of adding to the board. Mutavault is annoying because that's sort of gonna mess up our attack with our Faceless Haven, so opponent is playing it more conservatively now, leaving back Supreme Phantom as a blocker. Thinking through what we want to do, because if we play the Beastcaller, then it grows the Gala Greeters as an attacker. Decide it's better just to send him with the land, like, because we know we're like dead next turn. So what we're trying to do here is present lethal, And they have to block 2 of our creatures or else they lose. Or at least, anyway, we posed a complicated situation for them. I think, let's see if they have any tricks. They end up thinking through this for a long time, but somehow they have nothing and we knock them down to 1 life and take the Lord off the battlefield. So any other Lord or something could kill us right here, so we're just bracing for impact. This is a great sign, drawing a card. And it's a Curious Obsession. So opponent is 1 damage short. So we were getting beaten down so fast, but we were able to catch up thanks to Hardened Scales and get the win. So as we move on to the next game, please remember to Affetto Grifter the like button, comment, and subscribe. It supports the channel and helps you know what the people want. Thank you. Now we snap off this keep right here. This is a great looking hand. Opponent mulligans. We have Hardened Scales, and this one with this current build, this is some issues we have is with sequencing, because Pelt Collector wants to come out before Beastcaller, but Beastcaller also wants to come out before Pelt Collector. So it just turns out to be a lot of tension in there. So I think there's some upgrades to be had in this build. But opponent just cuts down our Beastcaller before we can get a secondary creature to receive its counters. Never fear though, we got Beastcaller into Swarm Shambler. And that's going to afford us a little bit of protection against removal spells by giving us insect tokens. Third Path Iconoclast. So then it becomes clear what the opponent's doing. Assuming like they're having some sort of young Pyromancer build with Iconoclasts and removal spells and stuff like that, just trying to go wide while disrupting. However, we are just going off right now and sending in. Don't know why I didn't play Scavenging Ooze there. Would have been a little more mana efficient. There's also an argument to just holding back the Swarm Shambler and putting a counter on it, which would have been 2 counters thanks to Scales. But opponents under pressure from Beastcaller, however, they have an infinite army of chump blockers. So we definitely don't send the Swarm Shamblers in. We're going to grow them both end step. And now, thankfully Pelt Collector has trample. Okay, so I make a misplay here. I don't know why I didn't just exile the card in my own graveyard to put 2 counters. I must have been thinking it was only going to get 1 counter, but Scales would have given it an extra 1 and it would have survived that removal spell. Maybe they had an extra 1. Anyway, I think that was a misplay, because we still could have put a counter on one of the Shamblers. Anyway, we're with the decision that we have right now. So I'm speeding up through their blocks, and they have to assign a chump blocker to our 10/10 every time. Not only that, but our other creatures are growing as well, and Pelt Collector's trample is going to be a thorn in their side as well. But then they get young Pyromancer out there, and so if they cast any spell here, yeah, so they have a Cathartic Pyre. We can't save the Pelt Collector, but we do get some consultation insects. So, not consultation, what's the word? Anyway, we attack in. They're sorting through their blocks. Once again, they have to always allocate a chump blocker for our 10/10. But opponent's just in big trouble now, and that creature land helps us feel extra safe. They just haven't been able to muster a big army because we're requiring so many chump blocks each turn. And they can't even feel like they can send like Iconoclast and Pyromancer at us. So, feels pretty good. Keep growing the Beast Crawler, though it's not really that profitable at the moment. But yeah, we're going to send in Faceless Haven. And now even the insect tokens are posing a threat because their opponent's only at 4. So it feels like we're finally getting there. I mean, they have like all these Hordling Outbursts plus getting bonus tokens off it, but they're just hemorrhaging creatures every turn, and yeah, they pack it in. So we move to the next game. This hand looks pretty nice. Anytime you got turn 1 Scales, you're feeling pretty good. Alright, we got turn 1 Scales, turn 1 Lair Elves from the opponent. And Realm Walker, naming Elf. Okay, so we're playing Elves. And I think I get a little too greedy here by playing Ozolith. I think I should have played some creature just to get the ball rolling. It is a little concerning if we don't draw a third land, because opponent is already going off. I mean, this is what Elves does. This is their turn 3. They have 5 creatures in play. Not to mention they already have Warcaller, which is a huge problem. So we do get land number 3, so we're going to try and hastily try and catch up, but you could see the whole sequencing issue with Pelt Collector and Beastcaller already. Only when we have 2 of them, only one of them can get counters, which is a big problem actually. So opponent goes Visionary into Visionary, and thankfully we have a 5/5 to ward off attacks, but it's looking pretty grim right now. Now Faceless Haven is a bit of a non-bow with Barkhide Trolls, so fortunately we can play a Ranger class after the fact. We're just trying to brace for impact, but it's looking pretty grim with how much power they have on the battlefield already. And then Nightmare Scenario, they play Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, and so they easily have enough devotion to activate Warcaller. And the thing is, Warcaller's pump not only gives a power and toughness boost, but it also grants Death Touch. So we're prioritizing killing the Visionaries, but realistic. I mean, so here we fall to 3, we kill the Visionaries, and we're actually dead on board here. But opponent either doesn't see the line or just having too much fun playing tons of Elves. And yeah, they just get a million more creatures. So we resume to triple speed here because I try and hang in, but realistically, like, it almost seems like they're playing with their food a bit. But yeah, once we see Coco, we pack it in, and that's a loss. So that was a tough one against Elves. Keep this hand. Double Beastcaller looks pretty nice. Turn 1 Scales would have been amazing, but can't have it all. Secrets of the Key, I think, or Secrets of the City. Anyway, makes an artifact token. Makes me think we're playing a creativity deck. Alright, Beastcaller resolves, and they crack a clue. Now that actually is a good sign for us. That seems like vulnerability. Like normally they want artifacts out to have creativity targets. And so we could tell, you know, they're fishing for lands. They cracked the clue, they didn't get a land. But they have a handful of interaction at the very least for them. So they kill our Beastcaller with its counter trigger on the stack, and they miss a land again. So we just gotta try and press our advantage, try and battle through their removal spells. Go ahead and play Ozolith and play Scavenging Ooze, but they have another removal spell. So we aren't able to like pressure them yet. Okay, so they finally find a third land, and here comes Fable, which is dangerous because the Goblin token can vault them up into the mana they need really quickly, or just get them the necessary artifact target. So we play Ranger class, and we go ahead and level it, and fire off Blizzard Brawl. We do not want them accelerating their mana or getting an artifact target. So we smash them with Blizzard Brawl, and we're able to attack and get a Ranger class trigger. So you may notice the eerie silence, right? The audio is starting to degrade, and it just gets worse over time. So I had to just mute the game audio from here on out. I don't know what keeps causing it, but it happens from time to time. Now we're feeling pretty good. They miss a land again, and so we can send in the attackers. We're gonna diversify, put them on the wolf token. We want to make it as hard to deal with as possible. And we have a nice situation here where by exiling one of our own creatures, we can just present lethal and force them to do something. And so opponent has divide by 0. They have a Magma Opus in their graveyard, which makes me think they're the Torrential Gearhulk build that tries to get out a bunch of Gearhulks and then cast a bunch of free instants. Now I exile something else from the graveyard. Honestly, I don't know if I needed to keep exiling stuff. It might have been better to leave up 1 mana for Barkhide Troll Hexproof, you know, just to really try and seal the deal. But opponent has just been behind this whole game. You know, they're finally getting land 4, getting a little bit of a life buffer, but you know, creativity can end games quickly. But yeah, they end up packing in. They could tell we're going to smash in for a lot. So we jump into the next game with a pretty solid hand. Play Swarm Shambler. it's good against like buffering our creatures against removal, but there is an argument to holding it back till we have a Beastcaller and or Gala Greeters in play, just to have, you know, turn 2 Beastcaller, turn 3 play 2 more creatures and really grow it. However, opponent just has make disappear and counters it, so still unsure what we're playing against. Could be some sort of blue-red control. Haven't seen enough to really know yet. Now, I think I make a misplay right here. I attack him with Shambler. It just doesn't seem very profitable. It seems much better just to add a counter onto it, and it sort of doubles its clock. Another make disappear eats our next creature. So just chipping for that 1 damage there didn't seem very impactful. Would have been much better to turn into like a 2/2 and then start rumbling. But now we have Hardened Scales, and that makes that kind of question much easier. So we go ahead and play Gala Greeters, which can pick up counters eventually. And now we pass the turn, definitely with Scales getting us an extra counter. And opponent plays Prismari Command. Decide to activate in response. I think I thought they were doing like the card draw version, but they're just making a treasure. And it becomes pretty clear we're playing against creativity again here. With the amount of artifact tokens they're making and just trying to stall our game plan. So I'm already bracing for impact here. They have plenty of mana. They have excess artifact targets. So a little worried. And once again, it's the decision, do we attack or do we wait and try and put 2 counters on it? And you could see me agonizing, or I decide the fact that we're getting 2 counters could turn into a 5/5 seems pretty good. Not to mention Swarm Shambler is protecting our stuff from removal already. So now we're presenting them with 15 points of damage. Then we cast Scavenging, and it turns out they just pack it in. Alright, so that's mono green +1/+1 counters in the Explorer format. And that was a pretty nice little run. Went 4-1. Deck felt pretty good, and it's definitely not perfect though. I very much consider this a rough draft. You could see my sideboard, it's stuffed full of possible alternatives, and there's even more than that. So there's a lot that I'm considering for this deck. I honestly didn't like the tension between Pelt Collector and cards like Gala Greeters and Quirion Beastcaller. They just all want to be on the battlefield first, and so there's a lot of tension of which ones you cast first. It might be better to swap these out for like Servant of the Scale that just gets a counter. So there's still some tinkering that you can do, and there's also like Hangerback Walker and stuff like that. But it's just a fun strategy to puzzle over and think about, and not only that, but you get to beat people down with giant creatures. So anyway, this is really fun. Let me know in the comments, what are your favorite +1/+1 counter cards? Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.